This is a wonderful day of the entering of the heart of Taurus, and let me tell you about it. Let me tell you about the wonderful presence of Gautama Buddha in the heart of the earth and in your heart, and this wonderful season where we become that living Buddha, that presence of the crystal Buddha. Some of you have seen the crystal Buddha in slides and been taught to visualize that fullness of the presence of the One as the Buddha of the heart and then as the Buddha of oneself. The image of the Buddha is like the image of your I Am presence as well as your soul. The Buddha is always meditating on the Divine Mother within you to raise up that mother flame. The Buddha is a magnet of the central sun in your heart. Literally and physically, the Buddha sustains your threefold flame. He is the keeper of the flame of life until you are able, as is the Holy Spirit, Sanat Kumara, and the great cosmic beings of the central sun. And so we are the keepers of the flame of life until mankind are able to keep that flame of life and freedom, peace and enlightenment for themselves. In the heart of the Buddha now, we are poised in the center of being. This is the place to be and to remain and to feel and to think and to know who I am that I am. When we stray from the center of the Buddha, we always suffer. We are out of alignment. We are in that dukkha state of suffering. I used to feel great human pity for those who would suffer, and especially those suffering as they would struggle and struggle and struggle on the path, until I came to the realization that the reason for struggle on the path is at the heart of non-surrender. As soon as we surrender unto God our all, there is no suffering. We don't even know the meaning of the word. We can no longer even describe what it feels like. So if there is suffering, it means we are pulled in another direction away from the heart of the Buddha. And this is a great sadness. Then why do we pull from the heart of the Buddha? We pull because of deference to our human ego and the pride and the arrogance and those forces that we may have not slain under the sponsorship of the Son of God in Aries. It is wonderful to know that there is no thing out there in the periphery and the surface being of life worth suffering for. There is nothing that we can think of that is worth not surrendering for. The bliss of the heart of the Buddha comes from the all-consuming flame of God. To arrive at the center of the Buddha is the great goal of this sign of Taurus. By this sign we conquer in the earth. Therefore it is the sign of the builders. Because as we build as Milarepa did, we must build not only according to the geometry of matter, but the inner plumb line of being, our own internal Christhood, the divine blueprint. Thus over and over again Milarepa would build, and down would come the house again, because the vibration was out of alignment. The reason for the building of the house had not come into the surrender to the will of God. Build and tear down, build and tear down. Whether we tear down or the cosmic Christ tears down, that which is not built lawfully in the light of God does have inherent within its building the matrix of disintegration. That is why those who have observed human life will say that from the moment we are born, we begin to die. It is the nature of the karmic beast. It is the nature of the lower self that is yet conceived in the spirals of its own karma. And therefore we see that the disintegration spiral is very useful as long as we do not identify with it. For when we see that all things that are not real must go through disintegration, that their atoms might be returned to the central sun, we realize there is a very important tool in this counterclockwise spiral, the unwinding of the grave cloth. We no longer want to be shrouded in death or the clothing of death, and therefore we call for the acceleration of the light, and we call for that acceleration of the disintegration of darkness. And in the seventh age, that which accelerates the disintegration of darkness is the violet transmuting flame. And it does have a caduceus action, and it is raised up in your temple, and it does move through the chakras. It is the sacred fire of God, the all-consuming fire of the Holy Spirit. Thus, the term Buddha means the one whose chakras or spiritual centers are budding and unfolding, because there is purification, there is expansion, there is alignment, and therefore the petals unfold according to the geometry of God and God's consciousness in us. The sign of Taurus, then, does require the most physical flame. It requires the violet flame in all of our building, in all of our atoms, in all of our molecules. We want to see that violet flame so intense that we catch out of the corner of the eye the sparkling of the amethyst jewels which endow all of our building. This is the way Earth and the rocks and the mountains must appear in the age of Aquarius. And so this day, with the light and the joy of Gautama Buddha in my heart, I come truly in the love of the Ascended Lady Master Portia, in whose heart lies the key of our victory in Taurus.